Hi, everyone, and welcome to Convos with KB. And I am your host, KB. And I am with this phenomenal woman right here. Now, we just had a joke because I said that she was a mom, and she said, wait, what? So earlier we were going to interview, and she said, I got my kids. And I'm thinking, okay, doing mommy duties. I like that. And she said to me, my kids are my players. So I love to hear that. They're more than just players to her. She takes care of them. I always like to say when moms and dads bring their kids to any coach, you need to take care of them like they were your actual kids. So shout out to that. So Coach Nadine Domond, how are you today?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Humble that you allow me to be on your cast today. We have some time to talk about the future and just conversate about basketball. So the opportunity to always share and grow is something I love. And thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. So first, congratulations on your role at
Thank you.
Morgan State. Why did you decide that now was the right time for you personally and professionally to take this job?
Well, I think Morgan State is a beautiful campus, a beautiful opportunity. I think my AD, I think the president have a vision that they're trying to accomplish, and I want to be part of it. And I think they are truly visionaries. I think they are transformational leaders, and I want to be part of that. And I think the MEAC is such a great conference, a league or conference that is respected with some great people in it. And I think it's an opportunity to do something special. So I hopped on it. But I love Virginia State. Will always love Virginia State. President Abdullah and Peggy Davis gave me an opportunity to be able to springboard into it. Because the CIAA, if you think about the MEAC, the CIAA used to be one big happy family. So the opportunity to jump on board to the MEAC was a great opportunity. And to return back. I used to coach at Hampton.
Good. Well, I'm sure everybody is happy to have you back in the conference.
Me too.
Yeah. So you've coached at D1, D2 levels, and you've had tremendous success. You even talked about your time at Virginia State. How do you think that the experience you've had, all these different programs, have prepared you for your current role now at Morgan State?
Well, I think the wonderful thing is that I've been with people that know what it looks like, right? And I played for the great legendary C. Vivian Stringer. And a lot of people don't know Stringer, but I think she was the original. And her and Coach Washington, they opened so many doors for myself. And if anybody don't know who Coach Stringer is, just think the equivalent of Dawn Staley. How Dawn continued to bust doors and open doors and do so many great things. And that was Coach Stringer. And she started at HBCU. She started at Cheney. So she understood the struggle. She understood what she was trying to create and develop. And we're not sure. I believe that team just got inducted to the female Hall of Fame with Deb Walker, Yolanda Laney. And so being at Cheney, and then she went to Iowa, and then I worked for her. So we used to laugh all the time. And then I had the pleasure to work with Patricia Cage Bibbs. She gave me an opportunity at Hampton and gave me an opportunity as a head coach at Grambling to be the head coach. And then, so I've been with some great giant of the game. Um, and I mean, these people are giants. And you talk about Patricia Cage Bibb that ran Hampton, that went down to North Carolina A&T and ran the MEAC with that. You're talking about Coach Stringer that was just probably one of the premier coaches that have 1,000 win in this business. So my opportunity has been around idols and legends and giant killers has been amazing.
It's awesome to hear. And so many amazing women and women of color that have shaped you and your leadership style. How do you think that those women who have shaped your career as a coach, even as a player, being Black women, have helped you in what you're trying to instill in your players as you move along in your career?
Well, for me, I think Coach Ringo would say you got to work hard, right? And she talks about that all the time. You got to be able to work hard. You got to be able to deliver. You got to be able to be the best version of yourself. And what I loved about her and Coach Pat Bibbs, you make no excuses, right? You show up and you deliver time and time again, and be the best version of yourself, right? I don't think they were asking about being perfected or being perfect. I just think they were saying if you gotta outwork the next person next to you. You gotta be the best person. You give nobody an excuse. And if you do and leave the best version of yourself daily and make daily deposit, at the end of the day, things work out. And I think Coach Stringer did that daily with the way she prepared and just continue to knock down doors in, PWIs. You're talking about the University of Iowa, and then go to Rutgers and take three different teams to the Final Four. You're talking about Pat Bibbs that continued to win not only the SWAC, but then she won in the MEAC. And she went back and became AD. And she was knocking down doors when it wasn't something sexy. So those two people formed my life. But it was a lot of other people. Like you think about Coach Washington at Kansas and so many others. But those two people, because I had the opportunity and the privilege to not just to play, but also work for them. So that's the honor.
Awesome. And I can just hear it all in your voice. And you can hear that these women really touched your life in so many ways. And I'm pretty sure your kids feel the same way about you as well. That's what you want to leave that lasting legacy for them. I want to talk about visibility for women's basketball. We are seeing women's basketball get the attention like we've never seen before. We're seeing the ratings hit the roof with the WNBA. We're seeing media deals through the roof. Now, let's talk about HBCUs and women's basketball. How are you planning to make Morgan State a top destination so that you can compete with those schools, those, as you say, PWI schools that are getting a lot of the top talent? How can you get them to come to Morgan State or even have them come to any type of HBCU?
I think one, Coach Springer said your product has to be good, right? And I think that's the reason why everybody's drawn to the women's game. It's a great product. It has always been
Mhm.
a great product, and I just think it needed a platform to showcase itself, right? So you're talking about the opportunity to showcase, and you're talking about Caitlin Clark, how she moved the needle, and the rivalry between her and Angel Reese, and the LSU Iowa game, the South Carolina Texas game. All those games were great product. It was something great to see. And I think that those opportunities is what made people say, hey, man, that's good basketball.
Yeah.
Because it's not a girl or woman thing or boy thing. It's a basketball thing. And if you
Absolutely.
like basketball, then that's what the product was. And I think for us as Morgan State, I think you're just going to see the best version of ourselves every day. And it has to be a good product. Because if it's not a good product, people are not going to buy it. And I think that's what, the teams in the past have done. You look at Hampton, you look at Howard, you look at Norfolk State as of recently. It was a great product of basketball. And because it was a great product of basketball and young ladies see themselves doing that, it was just like, wow, it can happen.
I love that you talked about great product. And just to talk a little bit about the NBA, they saw some record numbers for game seven that they haven't seen in a while. It's just that, like you said, people want a good product. I think a lot of people focus a lot on the names for any sports. But if you give them a good product, whether it is women's basketball or whether you're playing at Morgan State or any HBCU, people just want to see some good old fashioned, down and dirty, maybe not too aggressive basketball. Now let's talk about aggressiveness. So right now, I did a podcast and I talked about having an enforcer on your team for women's basketball. Right now, remember the old school days of the NBA, your Charles Oakleys and people like that were enforcers when he played with the Bulls. People think about the Knicks, but he was an enforcer for the Bulls too.
You
We
are.
don't hear a lot about that for women having an enforcer on their team. What are your thoughts around women's basketball teams having that Charles Oakley enforcer type of player on their team?
I think everybody do. They just don't say it.
Mm.
And I don't think we have made it. It's not a sexy thing, right? I don't think nobody say, "Hey, man, you want to be a bruiser tomorrow? You want to be my enforcer?" It's nothing sexy.
Yeah.
And I think we have it because when you identify your role and know what your role is for that team, you kind of understand. I need you to get rebounds. I need you to step up. I need you to take the defensive
Right.
of that. I think for us, even when I played, we had particular players that were like, yo, you already know what you got. Yo, you matching up with her. Defensively, that's the matchup. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to take care of. So the enforcer part is different because I think when you think of an enforcer, you think about somebody trying to hurt you.
Right.
But I don't think that way, right? You're talking about somebody say, listen, I got your back, and nobody's gonna come in this house and mess with us. And if they do, they gotta come through me. So I'll be the first one on the front line to make sure you guys are gonna be okay. And that's what I think about that, right? And I think particular players understand that role on great championship basketball teams.
How do you think that we can pivot the mindset? Because when we talk about men's basketball, it was an honor for you to be an enforcer, especially like on those bad boys Piston teams. Yeah, like I carried that with pride. How can we change the narrative for women where, it doesn't have to be sexy per se, but like it's okay to be the enforcer? What are some of the things you think we can do to pivot the
Well,
mindset?
I think the New York Liberty had an enforcer in Jacquel Jones.
She's hurt too right now, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you think about it, right?
yeah.
When you talk about like great teams, like you're talking about UConn, and people don't say like Tamika Jeter was a great enforcer at Swing Cast. Those were enforcers at UConn, and now I'm dating myself like like they were great enforcers. Like they took care of business, and I think when you talk about even here in the league, you're talking about the WNBA, Naz Hillman. She does things, but Najalani, Kalia Copper, they do it in different ways. They don't do it in the sense of they're just like, listen, we're gonna take care of business,
Right.
and even I mean I know a lot of people catch a slack, but if you look at the Indiana Fever, there's particular people that do
Yeah.
things on that team to make sure, hey, listen, we're not here to be played with, and so when you think about that, I think the game itself can be beautiful and it doesn't have to be in the sense of bully ball, right? And the game is a lot more fluid. I think when Charles Oakley and you was coming down that paint, I believe you was gonna get hurt. That it was hold on to your seat. Can you feel the heat? This shit.
Right.
I mean, it was that kind of like do not come inside. And I think because the game has changed and as it continued to evolving, I think is the style of play and and the style of play and how the coaches coach that says, listen, these kids are no joke. They're tough. They're hard nosed kids. They're going to get up in your face. They're not going to allow you to be whoever you want. And that's basically Coach Stringer basketball, right? And that's basically Coach Bibbs, right? Defense, 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 and then adding that with the ability to score and to execute is what makes it a beautiful product. And that's the game plan I have here for Morgan.
But I love that you said that it's okay to be an enforcer, that we've already had it, right? It's just, it's seen differently. Of course, it's not sexy when a woman does it, but it's okay. We do it. Because I said the same thing on the podcast. I was like, no, I like it. I think it's good for the game. It's good and healthy for the game. And we have to understand where to draw the line. Now, nobody's going to be punching people and clotheslining people or anything like that. But I think, like you said, it's good for the game. It's healthy. It's part of the game. And it's already been there anyway. We just maybe people didn't know it. I didn't want to think about that when it comes to ladies. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that perspective for us. And you talked about defense. Now we know that you are known for defense. You talked about it a little bit. You learned that from your coaches. And it's funny that you started off with talking about defense. Then you said you have scoring and everything else. What is your philosophy and mindset on defense? And how are you instilling that in your team right now?
I think defense, right, is an attitude. Because that
Mhm.
attitude is like, I'm gonna defend this house. I'm gonna defend where we coming from. And I think it's an attitude, a no nonsense attitude. And it's a fun game if you do it right. If you
Right.
do it correctly. At the end of the day, you gotta be able to defend. But you also have to, at the end of the day, you have to be able to execute and score the basketball. And I think what I've been able to do, and I've been able to, I had the privilege is that I have one of the greatest basketball mind in Coach Stringer and Coach Pat Bibb to put both those things together and create. And if you look at it, what she has taught has lasted durability.
Right.
And you're talking about all the great teams defensively. South Carolina came through defensively. Duke comes through defensively. All the great Tennessee is even picking up full court defensively. And then it's fun. You get to steal. It's a fast paced game. But when it's down to like the last 5 minutes of the game, or that either it's going to be a great defensive stop, and you got to be able to stop somebody that's athletically and skillfully on the other side, right? You're guarding. And you got to be able to guard that person. And that person also got to be able to beat that person. I don't think you become a great offensive player until you understand how defense plays.
Man, that's some powerful words there. Because you hear so many people wanting to be good offensive player. I was talking to someone And he was like, "What's your specialty playing basketball?" I was like, "Defense." And he literally laughed at me. He was like, "Nobody cares about defense." Like, and I was like, "But that's what wins championships, right? Like, that's it." So again, I appreciate you giving some spotlight to us defense girls. Now, I'm not the best of offense, but defense, coach, put me in.
But if you think about it, right, Kobe was a great defensive player.
Yes,
Michael was a great defensive player. Now, granted, some people don't like it. Like that's a skill.
it is.
And once you understand defensively how you're going to guard somebody, then you start understanding offensively, how do I beat that person when I meet that person? So now this is where your game develops. This is how, hey, listen, you stop here, I'm a 1-2, I'm a jab, I'm a watch. And then defensively, so in order to be a great offensive player, I truly believe you have to be able to play good defense, and understand it. I'm talking about longevity. Because after a while, people start studying you.
Absolutely.
And if people study you, because people watch you and watch you and watch you, especially if you're special, you're going to have to figure out, how do I get that?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're a defensive liability, people don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, they talk about that with my favorite NBA player, but we won't talk about Luca today.
Yeah,
We're not
you're not gonna do that.
going to talk about him today. So you've won pretty much at every level. You won as a player, you won as a coach, you're a Hall of Famer. You have such a great journey, and you played in the WNBA. I mean, there's not a lot of people that can say that they've done what you've done or have the resume that you have. How do you think that you can influence our young student athletes? Because things are different
Yeah.
when you played. I mean, they have access to so much money and so much everything that maybe you didn't have access to. How do you continue to influence them when they're just like, look, ma'am, like I can go make six figures right now and just, put some crap on my Instagram? How do you continue to influence them?
I think when you say, I think it's no better time to be a female student athlete. I think this is the best time. I think I wish I was in this time. It's the
Ooh.
best time. I'm telling you. But I also believe that when I got drafted and I played for coach and career, everything matters. And you have to ask yourself, what's your why? Right? Because there's a lot of great talent,
Mm-hmm.
and we're waiting on the league to expand. But there's, shout out to Collier for creating the athlete and that, athlete in a different avenue to showcase other talents that people don't ever get a chance. I just think that for me as a coach and two is change is different because if I made a move in my neighborhood, only my neighborhood saw that move, right? Or only that world that I participate. Now you make a move, it's like, no, I don't want to be embarrassed, or I don't want to be challenged, or I don't want that. And that's hard, right? And the ability to say, listen, it does, they dealing with social media, depression, everything. You gotta really dig deep to say, why am I doing this? And you got to edit the noise, Kobe would say. Edit the noise. And then figure out what's your why and why you're doing it. And if you do that, I think everything else, and keep God first, everything else fall in place. So for me, it's just be the best version of yourself every day. I'm not asking you to be perfect, but if you bring it every day and you deliver yourself, deliver every day, how you not going to be great? Because those are daily deposits. Like we're reading a book called Atomic Habits, right? Like we're reading this, right? And I'm saying you gotta make daily deposits all day. It's the small things that make the big difference.
How do you keep your kids from being distracted by all the noise, the social media you talked about, all the potential that they can have that maybe we didn't have when we were in college? How do you help that?
Well, I think I have to say I got an amazing staff, and I put together some people that really understand it. And it's normal. That's their conversation, right? That's what they do. I think they have to figure out what's important to them, and
Mhm.
what's your vision. And are you going to be able to shut down everything? No, they're kids. We're kids. Everybody. I mean, shoot, we'll go down that rabbit hole real quick. And then we're on the phone for an hour and a half, and you're like, when did I start watching this? Because so I just think that you got to figure out what's the goal, what's the purpose at the time. Like if we're here to do this, this is what we're going to do, and then your time is your time, and whatever that is for you to be better, do it. So I'm not telling them they can't be on social media. I'm not telling them that's their language. That's their conversation.
Mhm.
That's where they meet. You know. And so, with that being said, I just want them to be the best version of themselves and recognize the time and place for everything. And you got to be strong about that.
I'd love to hear that. You talked a lot about some really great players, whether it's Coach Stringer, whether it's the late Kobe. They all have a legacy that they're either left behind or leaving behind. I want you to think about your legacy. And I want you to think about it holistically throughout your career and everything. And I want you to think about it, what you want it to be in Morgan State. So that's twofold. What do you want it to be just overall? And as you are now in your journey at Morgan State, what do you want your legacy to be there?
We did some unbelievable things. We shocked the world. We did. My kids were relentless. They were tough. We led with love. We won championships. We shocked the world. We did things nobody can even imagine. We made great people. They graduated. We made great moms and great daughters and great sisters, and they walk away being a proud lady bear, but understanding that the sisterhood is bigger than Morgan. It's all of us, and we're better. And all the things that we've learned has helped us become champions in life, on the court, and off the court. And that's the legacy I want to leave. And we let it with God. We let it with love.
You know what you just said? You talked about them. You didn't even talk about yourself. I think that that speaks volumes about who you are, right? I asked you about your legacy and you talked about all your kids and what you want them to be. So I don't know if that came from your coaches, mom, dad, but again, that says a lot about you and the type of coach that you are as
Thank
well.
you.
You're
Yeah.
no, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
No, I think that's your legacy, right?
Right.
That's your legacy because the banners will have the name. Like if the banner, because I can't play, they play,
Right.
right? But if you make them into unbelievable, amazing young individual, which they are, but it's our job is to mold them and to help them become that. We're the last step to that real life. I think that's what matters, right? They're champions on and off the court. They graduate. They're leaders of tomorrow. They're leading Fortune 500s. They're great moms and dads, and they're judges and doctors. They're owning WNBA, NBA teams. That's all that, right? That's what makes this time of essence great because you can be whatever, whoever you want to be in this season. That's the wonderful thing about this time. And it's my job to say, go get it. Let's go. And let me prepare you. And I use it as my, basketball is my platform to do it.
Awesome. I want you to think about the rising national attention on HBCUs, especially sports. We're seeing a lot of media deals we didn't see before. You can now catch a lot of HBCUs. There's a lot of streaming services for HBCUs. ESPN has partnerships. How do you think institutions like yourself at Morgan State can capitalize on this moment and sustain success?
Again, product has to be good, right? And it has to be exciting, and people kind of want to watch it. But I think HBCU is always a special place. I think it has produced so many pros. I think when I think about the time that I don't think there'll ever be another Eddie Robinson because I think when I was Grambling, I went and studied him. Right, there wasn't no access. There wasn't access to other players to go to other schools, so they all went to one school, and all that talent was at one place. And now HBCU stands on their own, especially with times and change and the voices and people standing up like yourself that want to do interviews with me and so many other people. I think having platforms and opportunity to talk about HBCU experience, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's nothing like it. There's nothing. I fell in love with it. I remember the first time I was out at Hampton University, and I just came back from playing overseas. And Coach Bibbs told me to go outside and go make sure I'm okay with the band. Do something. I was an assistant coach, and the love, the essence, the excellence, the pride, the is unmatched. And especially in a time like this with so much going on, it's something about a HBCU, right? They have been anchors for us in so many ways, right? And I just think that when the product is good and the way HBCUs are built for, I think is an environment of growth, development, pride, excellence, all that. And I think it's always been good talent. I think it's always been great basketball. But now to acknowledge and having the opportunity to show that great talent, a good product, is what makes it special.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just about the opportunities to be able to see and showcase this. And speaking of which, we're now seeing a lot more avenues to create equitable opportunities for coaching positions across all levels. And whether it's coaching at high school level, professional level, football, basketball, you're seeing a lot more of that now. Now, what advice would you give to a young woman, especially a young woman of color, who's hoping to follow in your footsteps to have that coaching opportunity?
I think for us, I think you just continue to do it. You come every day. Like for me, I think you should have a well balanced team staff. I think you should have a young person that wants to learn, and I think they have to get their apprenticeship and give them the opportunity. So somebody did it with me,
Right.
um, and so with that being said, the opportunity is there. It's so and like it's good because like I used to remember going to AAU games. There used to be nothing but male coaches.
Yep.
We seen female head coaches in the AAU market. I'm seeing female head coaches junior college. I'm seeing female head coaches on 2, 3, 4 Division 1, 2, and 3. So I think the wonderful thing is that the NBA and is also embracing female coaches. When you talk Jenny Busek that was on with the Indiana Pacers that was played at Virginia, and that was at Sacramento. There's so many things that the game is evolving. And I think the opportunity is out there. You just have to network, keep your nose clean, do the best version of you every day, and get with someone that can mentor you to be that person.
Mentoring is so important and imperative. Now, do you have any time for to mentor someone in case a young lady wants to,
Yeah,
learn from you?
well, my staff right now this year. I mean, you could definitely come to practice. You can spend time. My practices are always open for you to come and spend time with us. But for us, well, what you see is what you get with me. It's nothing more than what you see. You're gonna get somebody that's passionate. You're gonna get somebody that cares. That's gonna push you, gonna challenge you, stretch you, but also have fun with it at the same time. But I love the process. Like that's the biggest thing I would tell young people today. You have to enjoy the process. Like it's the journey itself is what makes it special,
Right.
right? And because I would think about like my steps, how I got here. It has been an amazing journey, an amazing process, and I still got a lot more to go. But getting here was enjoying the process. Oh, we got better today. Oh, okay, where we at now? It's the process for me, never the destination.
And some people don't like the process. They want to just quickly get to the destination. I want to be a head coach, but they don't want to go through the journey that
Listen,
you went through.
but it's what is in that journey is in that process what makes you special. That's what makes you separate. And I think that's the problem. Like it doesn't happen overnight. And you have to study your craft and spend time and continue to be the best version of you. And like in order to have a flower, you gotta have rain and sun.
That's true.
So all those things play into that.
I want you to talk to your fans, the alumni, any prospective players. What message do you have for them? What can they expect from you, coach?
I am super. First of all, I am honored, humbled that to be here. All right, and if you're watching this, and you're a young student athlete, if you want to do something special, you want to do something that's not been done and shock the world. This is the place to do it. I think the Lady Bears is an opportunity. It's just waiting to explode, and I just need the right kind of people to come around here and say, "Let's do it, coach." Alumni, you're gonna see young ladies that's gonna be like your daughters,
Mm.
like your nieces, your daughters, nieces. In that sense of they're gonna play hard, they're gonna give their best every day. They're gonna leave it on the court every day. They're gonna be the best version of themselves every day. They're gonna win, and they're gonna be champions on and off the court. Like that's what they're gonna get here, and that's what the kind of ladies you're gonna have. You're gonna get excited to play because you're gonna want to cheer for those young ladies because they're gonna be part of your family. That's what I like about this opportunity.
I feel like I want to put on my sneakers and come play. 20 years later, I mean, I feel motivated. So, Coach, I want to talk about some fun stuff. Not that the other stuff wasn't fun, but we're going to talk about some fun stuff.
All right, let's go.
Okay, I want you to talk to me about what's your go-to hype game song or artist. Who do you listen to when you want to get locked in before a big game?
It depends if I'm in a gangster mode or what. I mean, it's because you gotta understand it's different because sometimes you're like, okay, it's gonna be a long day. Let me get this gospel music on because Lord, I need you to lead me to be right. I need my spirit to be right to go into this meeting I'm about to go into.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying, or what? I mean, for me, honestly, I've done a lot of workouts to Beyonce. I'm a Beyonce fan.
Really? So you be out there doing your thing too? Do you be dancing?
I'm a Beyonce fan, but I'm an old school hip hop. Like I'm a hip hop head.
Okay.
Big on Lauryn Hill. But if you want me to get really, really, I'm Afro beating right now.
Yeah.
Like I could vibe with you. I could do that. Ellie Mae, her, Thames. So I'm rocking. I like Lady. There's a couple, but when I want to come back to my roots, I'm probably gonna throw on some Nas, some Mobb Deep, some J Cole, some Jay Z. Because I'm from so it's depending on the vibe and what I'm.
I like it. No, you're right though, because sometimes you're in a different mood. It's like when I work out. Like if I'm lifting weights, I may put on some Rick Ross, right?
You got because Rick be going right. He be hammering.
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't listen to Sade. I'm working out. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. I like that. I like that. So now let's talk about if there was anybody you could have dinner with, a basketball legend now, past or present, that you could sit down, talk to them, and have dinner with. Who would it be and why?
Kobe.
I knew you were gonna say Kobe. I knew it. And why?
I think Kobe, because I watched Jordan, right? And I watched him, and I think I kind of understood him because I grew up in that. But Kobe was just a great, I think he's a great blend of Jordan and a great blend of today. And the way he was able to articulate, deliver, and be who he was. Because, he said, being lonely is lonely. Like, being great is lonely. Those things, right? I think, Jordan still was who he was. But I think Kobe just had a different kind. And he loved Jordan, right? So Jordan was, the person, right? And Kobe, but I just wanted to see his perspective because I watched Jordan beat the Knicks. I watched Jordan come down and do his things. And, so and you ever watch The Last Dance, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, you different. And then you see Kobe come behind him and say, yeah, I'm going to be just like you. Like, what made you become that person? What did you see that was so crazy about that? If I could really, and then there was some it was some great female basketball players, and you'd be like, yo, how did you navigate this, right?
Right.
They just don't get the love that they're supposed to get, but I think Kobe, God rest his soul. I think I always wanted to have a conversation with him, and I remember as a kid, right? I think this was the coolest thing. The Big Ten championship was happening in Indiana. I think Lakers were playing the Pacers, and we was I was in college, and he gets in our elevator like a regular dude, and we just hold our breath. Like, Kobe, bro, that's Kobe, that's Kobe, that's Kobe, that's Kobe, that's Kobe. And he gets, we get off, and then we walk off. We're like, yo, dude, can you believe that? That was Kobe. That was Kobe. The chillest, calmest person, nothing more to it. But he was just his demeanor, his swag, how he different.
What's different? My last question for you is what's one thing that your players would be surprised to learn about you off of the court?
I was a class clown.
I don't think that would surprise them because that wouldn't surprise me, actually. I can see that. You're funny. I can see that.
Well, I don't think they don't get that. I think that probably be one. I like to cook. You can't miss that because I like to eat. I don't know. It's just there's so many facets of me. I mean, and I think I get to share it with them all the time. I do. Um, One thing I know that no, they think I'm always on them, but I love them. I love them, and it's crazy because I really feel like they're my kids. Because when parents give them to you, parents, and it's so crazy because the business right now has become so transactional. Right,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
longer you could outwork people and do things because it don't matter how much the kid like you. Coach, I'm sorry. Me too. Get it. Understood. Got it.
Yeah.
But I genuinely care and I want everyone to win. Like, and I think they know that. But I'm an open book. I'm really easy to read. I'm not that hard.
Yeah, I can see you like to cook. I knew you were going to say COVID, and I can see you as a class clown. And I've only been with you 30 minutes.
You think I'm a class? Oh wow.
I think you're funny. I think you're funny. I think that you are open and transparent. And I think that's why I was like, okay, coach, let me go get my basketball shorts. Because you
Well,
want to play with somebody like that, right? You want to play with someone that you genuinely know cares about you and they're open so that you can be open too. That's what I see. And I think that's what your girls see as well.
I ride hard for my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Coach. This has been so good to talk to you. I'm so excited to see what you all do next year. You know, I'm going to be following you all
You know
and what
what?
you're doing.
Come to a game.
You know what? I definitely will. Now, do you have any games that's in the South area at all? You got?
I think the closest game we play, if the schedule allows it, um, I think we go. Yeah, I think we go down your way. I'm trying. We're trying. I'm looking at the schedule now. I think we'll go down probably Florida.
Oh, hey, Florida is. Hey, I love Florida. I grew up 5 minutes from the Florida line, so
Yeah,
yes. So Florida's my jam. I like Florida.
do your thing, girl. Do your
So I'll
thing.
come down there and see y'all in Florida. But Coach, thank you so much.
Well,
This has been a pleasure. This should be first of many conversations that we have, right?
yes, we could talk all day. We could
We
talk
could talk all day.
all day.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Again, this is KB with Convos with KB. See you all soon.